Let's kickstart the show with tonight's big number, 5 million pesos. That's the total amount that the Union Bank of the Philippines has frozen following reports of hacked BDO accounts.
Over the weekend, several BDO account holders reported unauthorized fund transfers to a Union Bank account under the name Mark Nagoyo. The C-led BDO has already vowed to reimburse the losses, while the Bangko Sentral is allaying fears, ensuring that the integrity of the financial system remains intact. Good evening, I'm Marisol Halili.
I'm Robbie Alampa. You're watching The Big Story. Hacking rackets have been getting sophisticated by the day, this time no longer requiring one-time passwords to siphon funds from BDO account holders.
Dozens of customers lost thousands of pesos. The involved lenders are trying hard to get to the bottom of the issue. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the big story.
BDO, the country's largest bank, says it's continuing to investigate the alleged hacking of many of its customers' online accounts. Over the weekend, social media blew up with people complaining that they lost between 50 to 100,000 pesos, with many of the illegal transactions being done while they were asleep. One of the victims is AR, who is an OFW in Dubai. AR was alarmed when he received an email from BDO saying his account's password was successfully changed.
While tumatawag yung sister ko sa hotline, nag-notify sa akin, bumawas ng 50,000. Bibili sana kami ng lupa eh. Hindi nga lang matuloy-tuloy kasi nga kulang pa. Lalong hindi matutuloy.
AR added that another 50,000 pesos was transferred to a certain Ramon Joseph Matas BPI account, which they think is a fake name. Another bogus account that emerged was Mark Nagoyo, who apparently has multiple Union Bank accounts. Nagoyo means to fool someone in Filipino. Victims have created a Facebook group called Mark Nagoyo BDO Hacked, which now has more than 3,000 members. Another victim is 26-year-old part-time professor Christine Pagirigan, who says she lost 20,000 pesos.
Yung initial reaction ko talaga was, this is another scam or this is another attempt para mang-asar or whatever.
Both AR and Christine were shocked that the cyber criminals were able to get the one-time password even though they didn't share it or click on any phishing links.
That made me a little bit curious na parang hindi ako nagkulang on my side pero bakit may breach of security, and it was a hard-earned money kaya nakakapanghina siya.
O paano nila nagawang makapag-transfer ng walang verification na nanggagaling sa owner? Samantala nang tumatawag kami for blocking ng card namin, ang daming tanong, ang daming question.
BDO said it's been made aware of a sophisticated fraud technique and that it has put in additional security controls to block further attempts. It also promised to give back the stolen funds. Manila Bulletin first reported that the hackers transferred the stolen money to Union Bank accounts and bought Bitcoin with them. Bangko Sentral Governor Ben Jokno, for his part, says they're already coordinating with concerned banks to find out what happened and to ensure that victims will be reimbursed. Jokno added that the BSP is committed to uphold the safety and integrity of the country's financial system. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
What can the public do to secure their bank accounts against fraudsters? That big question and more with tech expert Art Samaniego. Mr. Samaniego, welcome to The Big Story.
Anong weather? It's about 2 degrees Celsius here in
Hi,
BC.
Art?
Here.
Sorry, my technical problems. Art, can you hear me?
Yes, it's okay now.
Hi, okay. Oh, good evening. First of all, Art, what do we know and what do we not yet know about what happened sa BDO?
Well, we know that this is not a phishing attack. As what the banks would want us to know. Because they're telling us, especially this organization of the banks, they're telling us that this is the fault of the account holders because they gave out their personal information like login details and passwords. Pero all the information that we have points to another way of attack, which is not phishing. So BDO said this is a sophisticated fraud technique. So they were able to bypass the the OTP because regularly, when you do a banking transaction, you will be sent an OTP or one-time password so that you would allow the transaction to go. Pero dito walang nangyaring one-time transaction. So, since the victims made a Facebook group, I followed these victims and selected those who are knowledgeable in computer security. So I found a cybersecurity analyst. I found one who is computer analyst, and I talked to them. And all of them told me that they did not click anything. They did not receive any information. They did not receive any text from the bank. So, wala talagang phishing na
So
nangyari.
Art, what does that suggest? I mean, gaya ng sabi mo, sinabi ng BDO, this was a sophisticated modus. What does that mean? Does that mean yung system mismo, yung infrastructure mismo ng bangko ang naatake?
I believe so. So, there was a system compromise on this one.
Okay, so what
So the system was compromised by these hackers, by these cyber criminals. Tapos, they got full access.
Okay. Now, Art, on the other side of this, ayun nga, it's being reported that whoever did this now then converted yung nakuha niyang pera was converted into cryptocurrency. What does that mean? Does that mean na hopeless or mahirap habulin yung pera na yan?
So, when cyber criminals do these things, they need to exit. They need an exit. So, for example, nakuha na nila yung pera. They need an exit so that they could use the money. So, the best exit that they did is convert it to Bitcoin. And once it's converted to Bitcoin, they could pass it to other wallets now. And they could use it freely. So, it's a form of money laundering. What the hackers, well, the scammers did was collect 50,000, 25,000 from BDO and then transferred it to Union Bank. Particularly this guy named Mark D. Nagoyo. It's not Mark Nagoyo, it's Mark D. The middle name is D, period. Mark D. Nagoyo. So Mark D. Nagoyo collected this 50,000 and 25,000 from account holders of BDO. And then, nung umabot na siya ng 5 million, we got an information that they bought Bitcoin using that account.
Okay. Now, last question, Art. A lot of focus, of course, is on BDO because it was their system that was attacked. On the other hand, this was transferred to an account. Presumably, people are presuming this is a fake account. So are there questions for Union Bank as well?
Now, first, I would like to make it clear that Union Bank was not hacked. The system of Union Bank was not compromised.
Yes, but is there something questionable about the account of Mark D. Nagoyo as well?
Yeah, because if you will use InstaPay, the account name is irrelevant.
I see.
What you only need, you only need to have the account number to transfer money. So even there's even a name called, there's even one named GDHDBD, HDHD, and the middle name is V. So obviously mga fake talaga sila.
Okay. Art Samaniego, tech expert po. Maraming salamat. How exactly did the hackers manage to channel funds to a Union Bank account of a certain alleged Mark D. Nagoyo? Is he even real? Speaking with Business World Live on One News, Union Bank executive said Mark D. Nagoyo is a fictitious person used as the account name for InstaPay transactions, the bank's money transfer platform. InstaPay only requires account number matching regardless of beneficiary name. Mark Nagoyo, in this case, does not reflect the real name of the account holder. Executives maintain that there was no security breach. They have frozen 5 million pesos in funds due to the incident and will be returned immediately if merited.
We continue to operate with the highest level of cybersecurity vigilance and awareness, and any threat or any possible actions that threat actors might take against us, we monitor closely and we proactively prevent.
These are the other big stories tonight. The rift continues between PhilHealth and its partner hospitals. 7 facilities in Iloilo have decided to cut ties with the insurer by next month over hundreds of millions of unpaid claims. The Philippine Eagle is set to take the place of the 2 wartime heroes on the 1,000 peso bill. Historians and the kin of the heroes are pushing back. And she may have been silent compared to the past candidates, but Miss Philippines put up a strong top 5 finish at the Miss Universe pageant. India takes home the crown for the first time in 2 decades. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Maricel Halili. More hospitals have decided to disengage with PhilHealth as the state insurer struggles to pay reimbursement claims.
As more hospitals threaten to follow suit, PhilHealth says it has put in place a new system to speed up payment of claims. Marian Enriquez with this story.
The ongoing row between PhilHealth and hospitals continues. 7 private hospitals in Iloilo City will be cutting ties with the state insurer starting next month due to unpaid claims of more than 545 million pesos.
Do we still have to sign another contract and then suffer again? Long we saw it going this far, unless PhilHealth talaga make a big move also to reconcile, no? And come up with solutions.
In a December 10 advisory, the hospital said PhilHealth did not comply with its legal obligations under the National Health Insurance Act. It said that the insurer only paid 15 to 20% of its liabilities since it started the reconciliatory process last October 8. Despite the disengagement, they said they would still accommodate PhilHealth members but would no longer deduct PhilHealth benefits or process their claims. For Dr. Elmer Pedregosa of the Iloilo Mission Hospital, it was a difficult yet necessary move to make.
Will you take the risk na konti na lang yung pasyente mo because na hindi ka accredited ng PhilHealth? Or you will take the risk because na hindi ka babayaran naman ng PhilHealth for next year?
PhilHealth admits delays in reimbursing COVID claims. Aside from staff shortage, they are trying to be more stringent with claims.
We pay wrongly, makukuha naman kami. And alam mo naman sa COA, pag ma-disallow yun, we have to pay out of our own pockets.
For the Private Hospitals Association, other hospitals beyond Iloilo might follow suit.
Kung halimbawa po mag-umpisa yan at makita talaga no, aming ibang miyembro pa na ganun talaga ang mangyayari, ay baka po maraming sumunod na po dyan. Ay hindi naman po namin yan ginugusto.
PhilHealth has put in place a new debit-credit payment method. 60% of claims are paid in advance. The rest are released after process has been completed. 11 billion pesos have been released to 366 hospitals under the new system.
Ito na nga, mapapabilis na nga yung payment through the DCPM. But and tuloy-tuloy ang pag-usap ng ating mga regional people.
PhilHealth has assured that they are exhausting all possible means to avert the situation for disengagements not to push through. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
In other news, the Bangko Sentral has decided to replace the images of 3 wartime heroes in the 1,000 peso bill with a Philippine eagle. The move does not sit well with historians. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
Almost 80 years ago, Jose Abad Santos, the wartime acting president of the Philippine Commonwealth, was sentenced to death by the Japanese for refusing to collaborate. Just before his execution at the riverbank in Lanao, Abad Santos told his son not to cry. Not everyone is given the privilege of dying for his country. Abad Santos's body was never recovered, just like his fellow World War II heroes Josefa Lanes Escoda and General Vicente Lim. These days, the three are remembered mostly because of their images on the 1,000 peso bill issued in 1991. But even that is about to change.
Please don't remove our heroes. Yan na lang yung ating araw-araw na reminder sa katapangan ng Pilipino at pagmamahal sa bayan.
Over the weekend announced it was going to replace the 3 World War II martyrs with the Philippine Eagle, which the BSP says symbolize clear vision, freedom, and strength.
The money itself becomes like a historical document because because you are placing faces.
Historian Jose Victor Torres said such a move would further the fading of the martyrs' memories.
You lose the face, you will lose the story.
The wife of the great-nephew of Jose Abad Santos, Desiree Benepayo, said this would further undermine our already poorly taught history.
As a World War II history and as a Filipino, I guess it's not right to replace our heroes with, an animal.
Politicians like Senator Nancy Binay and presidential aspirant Isko Moreno have also started to push back. Benepayo said the eagle may look majestic and dignified, but is no way heroic.
I have nothing against the Philippine eagle. It's a very majestic creature. Pero it will not evoke the same sense of patriotism from the people when they look at it, diba?
Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
For the big story in sports, collegiate sports are back after a 2-year pandemic hiatus. The Commission on Higher Education officially gave the green light to allow college athletes to hold contact or face-to-face training. Chairman Popoy de Vera gave his stamp of approval for the guidelines. Student athletes are now allowed to stage bubble trainings in full capacity in Alert Level 1 areas and 50% in Alert Level 2 venues. Officials also noted that the UAAP and NCAA could start as early as March 2022. And more good news, the PBA is giving its fans an early Christmas treat as it welcomes live audience members once again. The league has been given the go signal to stage its Governor's Cup games at the Araneta Coliseum with fans on the stands starting Wednesday. The 16,000-seater Araneta Coliseum, though, will accommodate only 3,000 to 4,000 people. Still, Wednesday will mark the first time since March 2020 that the PBA will be playing in front of its beloved fans following the COVID outbreak.
Time for another quick break. When we return, we take a look at how life is already returning to a semblance of normalcy in the U.S. Gretchen Ho takes on a big trip from New York to Washington. Still in the U.S., hundreds are feared dead after a swarm of tornadoes tore through Kentucky. And it was a beautiful day for the Philippines as Beatriz Luigi Gomez ended her Miss Universe journey in top 5. India's bet took home the crown after a 20-year drought. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Maricel Halili. While mobility has increased here in the Philippines, things are different over in the U.S. where some residents are slowly going maskless.
But with COVID surges post-Thanksgiving, the U.S. is slowly returning to mandating mask wearing. To give us an idea of how the pandemic life is in the U.S., we have Gretchen Ho reporting to us live from Washington for more details. Gretchen, kamusta dyan?
Good morning from Washington, D.C. Robbie and Mase. It is past 7 in the morning here. And it's quite liberating for me to be able to say and do this. But as you can see, I am without the mask right in front of the seat of the president, the White House. But don't worry, I'm not doing anything illegal as mask mandates have been lifted, whether indoor or outdoors here at the District of Columbia. It is freezing cold out here, though, at 2 degrees Celsius, but it's not officially winter yet. And as the days are growing colder, neither the lower temperatures nor the Omicron variant are hampering the return to normal life here in the United States.
Getting into the United States is quite easy. You just need to be fully vaccinated, have your Vaxcert PH, an RT-PCR test taken a day before your flight, travel and health insurance, and sign attestation forms at the airport. No need to quarantine. First stop, New York City. With people going maskless, who would have thought that this was once the virus epicenter in the United States? More than 80% now of the population above 12 years old in New York State have been fully jabbed. But after seeing a 43% spike in cases post-Thanksgiving, the mask policy is once again in place for public indoor spaces. You even have to mask up while watching plays on Broadway. But what's impressive here is COVID-19 testing and vaccine accessibility. You can get it for free from convenience stores and roving vans. But for Willie, a Filipino COVID survivor living here, the Omicron variant poses new risks.
You might be clean, pero yung ibang kaharap mo might not be. You'd never know who's vaccinated. You just protect yourself. Get vaccination.
Now on to a 4-hour train ride to Boston. Unlike New York, Boston is less strict. Establishments that we went to did not even ask for any proof of vaccination. The academe has also opened its doors. I even got to attend a short course on the business of entertainment, media, and sports at the Harvard Business School. The class was almost full, with 67 students from 18 countries, including sporting greats baseball star Alex Rodriguez and former NBA champion Channing Frye. In the capital city, meanwhile, the mask mandate has already been lifted. I am in one of the hotbeds for tourists here in Washington, D.C. Right behind me, we have the Washington Monument. This one is the African American Museum. And if you take a look at the people here, the tourists, the locals, and the security, they're not wearing masks anymore. So it's not required, but recommended right here in the capital city. They're no longer aiming for 0 cases here. Instead, they're viewing COVID-19 as an endemic.
I understand if you wear it all the time, that it does help reduce or whatever the potential risk factors.
And the best part? RT-PCR tests here aren't as intrusive. For them, results are still accurate even if it just touches the tip.
Okay.
Masakit ba?
Hindi.
Ano yung difference sa Pilipinas?
Mas pasok sa loob yun sa Pilipinas.
Ito, ano?
Medyo nasa labas lang. Mase and Robbie, the mask rules here vary from city to city and it can be quite confusing. But they have been consistent with one messaging though, get your booster shot. So far, 43 Omicron cases have been reported across 22 states, all of them mild, and no deaths yet recorded. And to be very honest with you, coming from the Philippines, where masking is required, and going here when I can walk around and take off my mask at any time, of course, while still being cautious and seeing life return to normal, it's quite encouraging to see how things could go in the next year or in the next months for our own country. Mase, Robbie?
Thanks, Gretch. Ingat pa rin. Now, still in the United States, it is feared that no less than 100 people died after a swarm of tornadoes ripped through Kentucky and 5 other states in the U.S. According to Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, National Guard personnel have been deployed to assist search and rescue operations. Beshear adds the collection of tornadoes was the most destructive in the state's history. U.S. President Joe Biden approved the declaration of state of emergency in Kentucky.
And the new Miss Universe is India.
After more than 2 decades, the Miss Universe crown returns to India. Harnaaz Sandhu was crowned the most beautiful woman in the universe in the pageant's 70th edition held in Israel.
Well, I think the biggest pressure the youth of today is facing is to believe in themselves. Come out, speak for yourself because you are the leader of your life. You are the voice of your own. I believed in myself and that's why I'm standing here today.
Runners-up were Miss Paraguay and Miss South Africa. Philippine Bet Beatriz Luigi Gomez impressed the crowd after a top 5 finish. She slayed the swimsuit, the long gown, and the question and answer rounds. Another Pinay also made us proud. Marian Rivera was a stunner as a member of this year's selection panel. Past queens, former Miss Universe 2015 Pia Wurtzbach and Miss Universe 2018 Catriona Gray were all praises on Bea's performance. This is the 12th year that the Philippines made it into the semifinals round of Miss Universe, the longest ongoing streak in pageant's history. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
Ganda pa rin nila talaga.
Oh, tsaka proud pa rin of Miss
Of
Philippines.
course.
Diba?
Congratulations kay Beatriz. Top 5? Not bad.
And then, of course,
Congrats.
to Miss Universe. What a wonderful message to the youth. Believe in yourself.
Exactly. Miss India. Paraguay, India, South Africa, they are all gorgeous. Of course, Miss Philippines, congratulations. And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
On behalf of Gretchen Ho, I'm Maricel Halili. We are One News. Good evening.
Ano pa mang pasakit sa atin bumalaki. Pag-ibig sa ating puso ay mamamalagi. Na para